All right, so today we're going to talk about the 3 profit centers in real estate. Right, there's a lot of different ways to make money in real estate, but we're going to talk about 3 simple ways. Now, I do a lot of all of these, but one thing I'm not going to talk about today, which I do as well, is we started building communities. We started off building from the ground up, like AC just showed you. So that's another part of real estate that we're focused on right now. I think that that's going to be, over the next 2 to 3 years, going to be a really solid business strategy for us. But what we're going to talk about today, you don't need any cash or credit for. One of the things that we will discuss involves residual income. Now, previously, and I'm going to explain my story to you in just a moment, but previously, we used to buy, fix, and rent houses. But what we would do is we would buy, fix, and refi cash out. The problem that I had with that was when the market tanked about 12 years ago, and it was because we were leveraged out all the way through. So I'm a firm believer in paying cash for a lot of things, and I'll share with you a strategy on why that is the best way to approach real estate. What I will say is, when you're leveraged out too much and the market takes a hit and then everybody's losing their jobs, guess what? You're going to be out of business. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story and why I think that that's the best approach moving forward. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jamel Gibbs. I've been in the real estate business since 2002. I've transacted hundreds, close to 1,000 deals at this point. It's been 18 years. And I'm currently focusing on investing in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I'm not from Houston, but I do work with individuals in Houston. I was telling AC earlier, we just got a couple of deals here. And in addition to that, I did train one student who made $500,000 his first year right here in Houston. I own Mill Street Properties LLC. It's my real estate company. And then I also own REI Education Academy. But I don't like to say I own anything. I control it, right? Now, the reason why I do what I do is for my family. This is my beautiful wife. We have 4 daughters. Our youngest daughter is 6 months. She's actually 7 months as of, what's today, the 14th? 13th? So tomorrow, today's the 14th? The 13th. Tomorrow she'll be 7 months. But I have a 14-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, and I have a 6-year-old in addition to her. So this is the reason why I do what I do. It's for time and freedom. And the way I'm able to create this time and freedom is through 3 simple processes in real estate. So we have wholesaling, we have rehabbing, and we have residual income. 3 profit centers. All right? The reason why we focus on 3 aspects of real estate is because we don't want to be one-trick ponies. In wholesaling, you do a deal, you only get paid one time. You might get a cash influx, but after that deal is done, you have to hustle to get the next deal. Same thing with rehabbing. It provides bigger checks, but again, you have to hustle to get the next deal. So that's why I like to incorporate residual income investing as well. So we'll talk about that in a lot more detail as well. So there's some pros and cons with wholesaling, all right? The pros are you don't need any money, you don't need any credit, and you don't take ownership of the property. What you do is you control the property through a simple piece of paper. We use a 1-page agreement, and on that agreement, it basically explains to the seller that we're looking to purchase their property. We add a small clause which says and or assigns, which allows us to assign that contract to another investor. The average profit on a wholesale deal is in between $5,000 and $15,000. And I'll show you one of the deals that I recently did with my daughter about a month ago. My daughter is 14. I'm training her right now, and she just made $13,000 on her first deal. So the cons are, thank you. The cons are you only get paid one time. So that's really the only downside that I see when it comes to wholesaling. Now, the thing with wholesaling, like AC kind of hit this he nailed this throughout his presentation. It really all boils down to marketing. So if your phone is not ringing, then you're not in business, right? So you got to generate leads. You turn those leads into prospects. You turn those prospects into deals. That's the basis of wholesaling. As I said to the earlier group, you're a marketer first, you're a problem solver second, and then you're a real estate investor last. If you can solve someone's problems, you can get enough leads in and you can solve someone's problems, you'll do a lot more deals than anybody else. All right. So what's involved in our marketing? Currently, this changes up based off of what's happening in the market. So if you'd asked me this question 2-3 years ago, I would give you a different answer. Today, we're doing a heavy cold calling, heavy direct mail, heavy pay-per-click traffic. Pay-per-click traffic provides leads that no one else is looking for, which is really good because everyone's cold calling and doing direct mail these days because it's easy to buy a list. 10 years ago, it wasn't so easy to go out and buy data. So now you can pick up data from anywhere. Data is king, right? But if you're focused on, let's say, Facebook traffic or Google traffic, these are leads that are not being hit by everyone else. So that benefits you as an investor because now you're focusing on leads that are not bombarded, and those are higher quality leads. Now, another thing I'm going to say is you can literally spend $5 to $20 a day and start finding leads. And the good thing about pay-per-click traffic, and I'm going to explain what pay-per-click traffic is because some people look a little puzzled. But the good thing about pay-per-click traffic, if you go to Google and you set up, let's say, a business Facebook account, you don't have to pay Google until the end of the month. So you can literally start now with none of your own capital. You'll pay Google later. So unlike direct mail, where you have to dish out all of that money up front, with pay-per-click, you can get started today, spend $5 a day, and then once you hit a certain threshold, I think it's like $750, which you can lower the threshold, by the way, then Google or Facebook will charge you. Same thing with Google. Now, when it comes to pay-per-click, you want to focus on multiple campaigns. All right, you want to test. It's called split testing. So you focus on, let's say I run 4 campaigns at a time. I'll see which one provides the best information that we need, because all you're doing is buying data, and then you're converting that data into leads, right? So what you want to do is you want to run 4 campaigns at one time, and it costs you $20 per day. All right, so that's 4 campaigns, $5 a campaign. And then once you have, after about 3 days, we test. We look at the data to see which campaign is performing the best. Then we turn off the ones that are not, which ads, I'm calling it data, but which ads are performing the best. We turn off the ones that are not performing, and then we create new ads to split test up against the ad that's winning. So then you just keep doing that to improve your ad quality and your ads that you're running on Facebook to get more leads. Another thing we recently incorporated over the past few months was ringless voicemail. So it's called RVMs. What I'm finding with ringless voicemail, we spend about $500 and we'll get a deal. So with ringless voicemail, we use slide broadcast, and we could spend $50 to $60 with slide broadcast and have our phone ringing within a few minutes from the time that we start. And we also use text messaging as well. All right, you can go to Text Magic or one of those other sites to get started with text messaging. And there's another site called Slingshot SMS. It does all of that for you. All right, so you can do it all in one spot. Now, when it comes to text messaging, we use that along with ringless voicemail as a follow-up sequence. I don't like to hit them first because it's almost like you're blasting people that they're not. You're almost like a telemarketer with ringless voicemail. All right. So what we do is we'll reach out to them. Let's say through direct mail. It's a really good tip. You might want to write this down. We'll reach out to them through, let's say, cold calling or direct mail. This tip that I'm going to share with you is great with direct mail. So we'll send a direct mail campaign, let's say a postcard like the one AC showed you earlier today. What we do is we will have the same postcard sent to us at the office. Once we receive the postcard, we know that everyone else is receiving their postcards. What we do is we'll go ahead and send a ringless voicemail after saying, hey, there's a postcard in your mailbox. Is a big pink postcard in your mailbox. Go ahead and check your mailbox and give us a call once you receive it. So what does that do? That's a question for you all. What does that do for us and for the seller? What does it do in the seller's mind? Curiosity. Who said it? Curiosity. Sparks curiosity. So what's the chances of, so if I'm calling you saying, if I left you a message and I said, we sent you a postcard, there's a big pink one in the mailbox right now. It should be there. If it's not, it should be there shortly. What are the chances of the seller going out to check to see what the postcard is all about? Yeah. And what are the chances of the seller wanting to call you back to see what is it about? So what that does is it boosts up your response rate and you get more calls. So that's just being a little creative, doing something different, which everyone else is not doing. If you separate yourself from everyone else, you'll get a better result. So that's what we do with ringless voicemail. Now, if they don't respond to ringless voicemail, what we do is we send a text message 3 days later, and then it's embedded into our system that it'll send another text message every week after that, every 7 days after that, until the seller responds or say, take me off of your list. With direct mail, we send out a new campaign. I explained this earlier today. With direct mail, we send out a new list once a month, then we'll send to the same list every 6 weeks, indefinitely. Okay? The message changes after, I believe, the third mailer. It becomes more of a follow-up letter as opposed to a postcard, a personal touch. All right, so, but the point is, it's all about marketing. This business is all about marketing. If you can market the best, you'll get the most deals. That's what this is all about. All right, now here's an example of the deal that I have Janet Drive, but it's actually Barksdale. My daughter just did this deal. We actually got this house for, the after repair value of this house was about $70,000 in my market. We bought this house for $25,000, and we sold this house for $40,000, a little shy of $40,000, and we got the check there. You can see it right there. I got a YouTube video documenting the process. If you go to my YouTube page, you just type in Jamel Gibbs and look for the one with me and my daughter, and it basically shows the $12,000. She's holding up the $12,000 check. So in that video, I explained the disposition process to her as well. All right, so that's wholesaling real estate. So next, we have rehabbing. Now, with rehabbing, there's and we have who's the hard money lender here? Did they leave already? Jet. So I would holler at him to see what his qualifications are with his hard money process. This is a great way, especially right now in this market, it's a great way to build huge money. You do need some money. There's a little caveat to it. So if you're looking to rehab houses, typically unless they're a true private money investor, private money, you can kind of call the shots because all they're doing is providing the capital for you to do business. But with hard money, they're more institutionalized. So you're going to need, typically they want 3 to 5%, 3 to 5 points up front. Is that about right here, AC? What does he charge up front? Like 3 to 5 points?
It depends on what it is. Like they have specials all the time.
Got it. I mean, whatever, basically you're going to need a little bit of capital. What points are is a percentage of the loan. So if you have like a $100,000 loan, let's say the house is 70 grand and you got to put 30,000 into it, they'll give you the $100,000, but they want their points up front. And then typically you'll have to make a monthly payment with them. Sometimes you could ask them to roll the payments into the loan. That usually works a little bit better if you're dealing with private individuals though. But Another thing about rehabbing is you take ownership of the property. Now, when it comes to taking ownership of properties, I put everything in a trust. I never, ever, ever put anything in my name. So what's the benefits of the trust? It provides a certain level of privacy for you. So this is the way we do. Well, I'll explain how we do trust in just a moment when we talk about the residual income properties. The average profit for us is about $20,000 to $50,000 on a rehab deal, and we could get paid at closing some of the money from the loan, based on how we negotiate the deal, and then we get paid when we sell the property as well. So here's an example of a Stony Point. The ARV on this one was about $155,000. We bought this house for $83,000. We put $30,000 into it. The closing cost was about $11,000. We put $1 down on this house, and we made a $30,000 net profit. So how many people like to turn $1 into $30,000? I like to do that all day long. But this is some of the before and after pictures, so you get a chance to see what these pictures are about. Now finally, we have the third profit center, which is residual income. Basically, you need very little money. And a lot of times you don't need any money to do this. No credit needed. If you're not looking to buy, fix, and then do a refi cash out, you do need credit for that. But for the most part, if you do it the way I'm going to explain to you, you don't need any money. Ownership is definitely, you're going to control the property, or you're going to own the property. Now, the way we take ownership of properties is through a trust. All right, and how many people are familiar with what a trust is, a land trust? All right, you understand how it works? Awesome. So the way we do it is we set up a trust under the property address. Okay, so let's just say it's 123 Main Street. We'll set up 123 Main Street Trust. Then we have an LLC, which is our company, as a personal representative of the trust. So the personal representative is in charge of the trust. They call the shots, right? But then remember, you're the owner of the LLC that controls the trust. So then you make yourself and your wife and kids, or your husband, or whatever the case may be, the beneficiaries of the trust. Make sense? So we're getting all the benefits as the beneficiary, but we don't own anything. We just control the real estate. So it's a lot harder for individuals to find out who you are if you do it that way. All right, so very little money needed. The average profit that we look for is about $200 to $500 per house. But here's the benefit of it. We get the best of all three of these worlds by focusing on what I'm gonna share with you. Because we get paid up front, we get paid every month, and we get paid on back-end profits if we decide to cash out on the property. So I like to do wraps. I like to do subject to investing. We also do owner financing. And the lease options I know here in Texas, you got to be a little careful with, because after, I believe it's 6 months, it's treated as a sale at that point. So you might as well do owner financing. I was explaining to everyone earlier today that when it comes to owner financing, I know after, I think it's 3 transactions, you start violating the Dodd-Frank Act. So what we do to maneuver around that is we sell owner financing to our cash buyers list of investors.
If you use an RMLO, you don't violate the rule.
That's right. You mentioned that to me earlier today. What was it again?
An RMLO.
RMLO. So you can talk to Julie about that. But basically, we sell to investors. So if you're on our cash buyers list,
And if you sell to a company, you don't violate.
Exactly. That's why we sell to investors. You only violate that if you're focused on people who are actually going to live in the property, right? So what we do is we sell to investors. Now, how many investors would like owner financing on their properties? It's hard to find, right? So I learned that from a friend of mine named Scott. He basically said this is what he does, because he has like 114 of those properties. And we started incorporating that and adding that into our business as well. But we do a lot of wraps, a lot of creative investing, which will allow us to get these deals And I'm going to explain one of these deals right here. So this is Huffine Mill Road. This is a property where the owner, her husband, he passed away it was the summer before last, because we own this property for about a year now. Now, this is the, I don't know how to use this thing. This is the before picture, and this is the after picture. It's from like last week. But her husband passed away, so she inherited this property and a couple other properties, which she sold to us as well. But she ended up wanting to get rid of the property. The problem was she owed $50,000, and she was backed up $5,500 on this property. It was a $70,000 house after it was all repaired. So most wholesalers, what would you do? Can you do this deal? Who said no? So you can't do it. Why not?
Well, I mean, you said most wholesalers because, it doesn't meet the 70% rule or 60%.
Right. So if you take 70% and you just do 7 times 7, you're at 49 grand right there. Right. And then the house needed about $20,000 in work. So how many people can get this deal done? Everybody can. Right. Here's how we did it. So we took this property and I ended up negotiating to pay down her $5,500. But I basically asked her to give me 30 days to find a buyer, and then I'll close out the deal. She agreed to that. And then what I did was immediately, once we contracted the property, I immediately found a buyer it took us about a week or two to find a buyer. I asked for $15,000 down on this. So all I did was take the $5,500 from the $15,000. None of that money was out of my pocket, and I put $9,500 in my pocket after taking care of her $5,500. Everybody got that? So then the buyer, we sold the property you can do this, but we sold this property after the fact on a lease option with $15,000 down. All right. You could do owner finance here, and it'll work the same. So we sold it to the buyer for, I believe it was $70,000 or $75,000 with $15,000 down. We pocketed the $9,500. Our payment on this property is $416 a month. Our buyer is paying us $1,000 a month to live there. All right. So now the buyer, and the way we worked this out, we really created a win-win-win situation. So we got the seller out of her situation. This is where the problem solving comes into play. This is why it's so powerful to be a problem solver. But at the end of the day, we got her out of her situation. We created a deal for us. Then we created a deal for a true home ownership for this buyer. So the buyer, we basically gave them 9 years to pay off the house completely. So all we're doing is taking a small portion of the payment. We're going to pay this house off within the next year and a half. It'll be paid off completely based off of what the buyer is paying us. So we're not taking a profit right now. The entire $1,000 a month is going towards the mortgage. So the house will be paid off in 2.5 years. We're not taking a profit. But then for 7 years after that, we collect 12 times? $84,000 in rent from this house. You understand? So that's an $84,000 profit plus the $9,500 up front, which is about $95,000 that we make on a $70,000 house.
Did you give anything to the owner?
No, she just wanted out. She just said, if you could get rid of my headache, then I'll. And then she gave us another house in addition to that. But that's the power of it. So we get paid up front. We will get paid every month. And in this case, we're not going to make a huge amount of money on the back end because of the way we structured the deal with the buyer. But I'm happy because we created another homeowner, and they put in all the work. They put in about $30,000 in this house. I wish I could show you the before and after the kitchen. He knocked down a complete wall right here and just redid this whole kitchen. I was there the other day picking up the rent. And, you can see the difference in the outside as well. That was just a great deal. But that comes with being creative and just thinking outside the box. To me, this is the best way right now to be investing in real estate outside of wholesaling. I don't believe in taking on any debt anymore because when the market crashed before, we had huge. I wasn't out of business. I fought through it, but we had a hard time. So you definitely want to focus on strategies that will allow you. To me, this is the best strategy, even if the market tanks. Because what happens if the market tanks tomorrow and people start losing their house? What are they looking to do? Rent. They're looking to either rent or find some type of creative way to invest, right? So to me, you have to incorporate this in order to really build a successful business. And you get the best of all three worlds. Now, if you want to keep it simple, a great way to invest in real estate, if you want to just buy houses cash without doing a refi cash out thing, wholesale 4 houses, take the money, rehab a house, and keep doing that. Once you rehab 4 houses, take all of that money from the rehabs and buy a house cash. Now, some people might argue and say, I want to have a small mortgage on a house to take advantage of the tax benefits and stuff like that. To me, I like to be debt free. I'll pay a little bit more in taxes just to be debt free and not have the headache. That's personal preference, though. But that's the beautiful part about real estate. You really get to design your lifestyle and your business around what it is that you want out of this business. But remember, it all starts with leads. It starts with prospecting those leads and then creating deals as well.
You listed all those direct mail, PPC, and everything.
The best way for me to start, yes, ma'am. I'll get to you just in 1 second. To me, the cheapest way, what's effective right now, and you can really get started like on a budget, is pay-per-click traffic. You can do some of the cheaper ways like RVMs. Cold calling doesn't cost you anything but time and a little bit of money for the list. Text messaging, those are great ways to start. Direct mail, you have to have, here's the thing. With direct mail, you have to have a budget, a pretty decent sized budget that you can invest for at least 6 months. When I tell people who are looking to get started, I say, plan on putting $1,000 a month towards your marketing away for at least 6 months. If you can do that, you're almost, I don't like to use this word guarantee, but you're almost guaranteeing that you're going to get some deals and make your money back. And I look for a 5x return on my investment. So if we spend, let's say, $20,000 a month on postcards, I'm looking for $100,000 a month back out of it. But then you got to remember, this is a relationship building process. I was telling the group earlier today, it's all about being in the seller's face all the time. Just like AC mentioned with the, McDonald's? They're in your face every 20 minutes, right? So you got to remember, all you're doing with postcards and marketing in general is you're building a relationship with these people over time. And when they think about selling, when the time is right, because that's all this is about, timing. If you're in front of the person at the right time, the right place, and they see you all the time, they're going to think about you first, and it's up to you to just put forth the effort. It can be hard in the beginning, but just remember, those seeds that you plant will eventually start to sprout, and you'll be able to make a lot of money doing this. It's snowballs. It takes a couple of months, but you can really turn this into a big business if you wanted to. Yes, ma'am.
How did you build your buyer list?
Great question. So I shared something earlier today. An easy way to build a buyer's list and right now is by focusing on landlords. We go to gosection8.com. And if you go to gosection8.com, I can show you guys. I didn't get a chance to show the group earlier today. If you go to gosection8.com, they'll provide all of the information that you need to start contacting people today. So I'm going to go to gosection8.com. Now, before we even jump into this, what's the benefit of focusing on, let's say, a site like gosection8.com? Think about the name. Exactly. Landlords with tenants. You're going directly to the source. All right. If I could get this internet working, I'll pull it up for you.
Is it 8 spelled out?
No, it's go section 8. Oh.
Just the number?
Yeah. It's just a number. I got a video. If I'm kind of dropping this AC, but I got a video on YouTube that shows you exactly how to do it. It says how to find cash buyers online. If you just go to Jamel Gibbs on YouTube. All right, there we go. So I don't think the internet is working for me right now. But if you go to gosection8.com, if you just type in Houston, and we checked it earlier today, it was like 400 and something listings. That's 400 and something potential people you can contact and turn into a potential buyer. Some of them may be duplicates, but when you click on the listings, if you look at the right-hand side of the page, it'll show you who owns the property and their phone number. And you can email them on that page as well. So it's pretty solid. So that's how I would start, or come to places like this, events like this. There's a lot of different ways to find buyers for nothing. But you just got to be willing to be out there and do it. Yes, ma'am.
What is the YouTube name?
Jamel Gibbs. Just my name. Jamel Gibbs. Yes, sir.
So do you worry about a due on sale clause if you get Section 8 and then you own or finance it? Not a Section 8, subject to and then own or finance it?
It is. That's a great question, by the way. I'm glad you asked that because I didn't address it. So he asked about a due on sale clause, and basically what that means is if you take on a property using a creative method like I explained earlier, the bank can call the sale, it can call the loan due right on the spot. There is a possibility for that to happen. I personally don't worry about it. I don't know anybody. Do you know anybody that ever?
I've known a couple of people, but they were doing like out of people I know people that 5,000 had like one done, and out of all the people I've ever.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the chances of that actually happening. I was talking to one of my buddies the other day. He said he knew one person that had happened to, and that one person, all he did was call up the bank and said, well, all I'm doing is taking over the payments, and I'm going to start sending you the money now instead of them. And the bank was like, oh, okay. And that was it. So, I mean, it was just that simple. So if it ever happens, I'm going to try that approach, but it hasn't happened to me yet. So I can't really, I don't know,
Oh, so they didn't actually call the due on sale.
No, they called it doing, they did. But then he called them up and explained. He said, I'm going to start making your payments now, and they was okay with that. Now, here's the deal. Here's how you're really going to trigger that if you're not making the payments, all right? If you're making the payments, the banks, all they want, they just want their money out of it, right? Banks they're in the lending business. They want their money. They don't want to take the property back. They don't want to have to, 'cause the banks need insurance on the property. They don't want to spend money on insurance. They don't want to maintain the property. All they want is their money out of it. But if you're making timely payments, you can prevent the bank from being on your back. That makes sense?
So one of the things that I use actually is when I'm doing that, I put it I use the name of the street or the name of the family that lived there on the trust.
Right, exactly, yeah.
The bank looks that it was a name change, instead of they sold it, they're putting the family,
Yeah.
they're putting the trust for the family.
That's right. So another thing you can do, which I didn't mention, I'm glad you brought that up, you can change the name that's on the title into a trust. The bank is thinking, okay, they're just looking for privacy, because you can do that on your own property. And then you just add the owner along with yourself as a beneficiary of the trust. It prevents the do not clause sale. Everybody understood that?
So do you need a subject to contract to do that?
No, you just tell the attorney or the closing agent, I'm taking this property subject to the existing financing. That's it. It's actually on the contract. So if it was illegal, it wouldn't even be on a state contract. Any other questions?
Well, you said that you don't like to own anything in your own name, you put it in a trust. You went through it kind of quick, just want to make sure I understand. You put the property in a trust, your LLC owns that, you direct the LLC, and the beneficiary of the trust is yourself.
That's right. You got it, man. Oh, and one more thing about a trust. The beautiful part about the trust, you don't have to record that document. Not even to your attorney don't even know. If you just tell your attorney, I'm putting this under this trust name, that's all they need to know. You don't show your attorney the document. You don't show anybody. It doesn't need to be recorded, so nobody ever knows who owns the trust. They have to really do some digging. You don't file an EIN. You don't get an EIN number for that. You know, it's really a privacy document. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% foolproof, but who's going to go through the trouble paying out legal fees and stuff like that just to find who owns the property and to sue you?
How can we get that?
You can create it or have an attorney. I'm sorry?
You can own a homesteaded property in a trust, or at that point you can't homestead it?
A great question, man. I wish I knew the answer to it. I can find out for you. I can ask my attorney. Oh, and I'm not trying to give anybody legal advice either. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. So no financial advice. I'm just telling you what I do. That's it. Any other questions?
What was his question?
Can you own a property in a homestead? You might know the answer. All right, so I guess that's it. Thank you, guys.